Hello and welcome to Relatable Code. In this video, we're going to talk about recycler views in Android. So let's get started. A recycler view in Android is an XML UI component that lets you display a list of data efficiently. Okay. Creating one involves a few steps, and we're going to go over them in this video. So go to your XML first, go to your Design tab, and we're going to drag and drop a recycler view into our XML layout. We can do that from our palette at the left, drag a recycler view, and there you have your recycler view. We want it to have a width of match parent and a height of match parent as well. We don't need this attribute anymore, and we don't even need these anymore because it's match parent basically. This recycler view will be responsible for rendering our list of data. And to render a list of data, you need to create a layout for that list item. Okay? A layout for every item inside that list. And we can do that inside our layout folder right there. Okay, let's delete this. We're going to create an XML layout for our item, and we can do that by layout underscore item for the file name. If you want, click on OK. And here you have a new XML file. Inside this XML file, we only want to display a text for simplicity reasons. So go to your Design tab, drag and drop a text view right there, give it a left constraint to the start of the parent, go to your split view, delete that margin top, and change the layout height of your layout XML file to wrap content. And there we have a list item. We want it to be having more space than that, so we want to give it a padding of 16 dp, for example, and that will be a single item inside our list of items. And we had to give it a height of wrap content because we only want each item to occupy that portion of a height. Okay, if you leave that at match parent, every item will be having a height as long as your screen, which is not very efficient. And for that to work, we need to give it an ID to work with. Let's change the ID of our text view to be TV underscore title, for example. Let's have it be the title of our data item. And after creating the XML file of our data item, we want to create our data item as a data class. Okay, so go to your folder right there and go to right click, new, Kotlin class or file, go to data class and create your data item. You can name it whatever you want as well. This will be the data class of our single item inside our list. And this item will only require one field, and that's a title. So let's give it a title like this, val title of type string. So now we have an XML layout and a data class for our item and a recycler view. But in order for our recycler view to be able to render our data items with this XML for each item, it needs something called an adapter. Okay, and we're going to create an adapter right now for that purpose, and I'll walk you through that step by step. So go to your folder right there and create a, sorry, that's a shortcut. Right click on that folder, go to new, Kotlin class or file, and name it data item adapter. That will be our adapter for the recycler view so that it knows what to do with its list basically. And for the first parameter, you might have guessed it, it should take the list itself. So we want to have a list. Let's call it items of type list of data items. And that's the first parameter of our adapter. We will add another one after a little while. And now we need to actually create the logic of this adapter. This is a RecyclerView adapter. And this adapter needs something called a view holder so that it can know basically how to hold the views of this list item together, okay, and populate that XML accordingly. So we need to show it how to assign the title of our data item to the text of our TV title. And to do that, the first thing we need is a view holder. And let's create one. We can have this as an inner class because it's a class which is situated inside our data item adapter class and it's related to it. So we can use a data class or an inner class, sorry, for that case. Okay, let's name it data item view holder. And we want to use view binding. We don't want to use find view by ID anymore. And for that, this view holder has to take one parameter, and that's the data binding itself. The data binding, not of our activity underscore main, the data binding of this layout item, because this is the layout item that our adapter is interested in. So as a parameter here, we can have binding. Check out the name, that's layout underscore item. So our binding's name will be layout item binding. Okay, and this view holder needs to have a type of RecyclerView view holder. And for that, we can use column RecyclerView dot view holder. They need to be in capital letters. And this will take a view as a parameter. That view will be our binding dot root. Just like that, we now have a view holder to hold our views together. And now we need to assign this view holder to the adapter. And we can do that after the parentheses right there. It should have a type of RecyclerView dot adapter, and this adapter should take a view holder as a parameter. This parameter will be inside these brackets, and this view holder will be data item view holder, basically. I don't know why it needs to import it because it's right there, which is kind of weird. This is requiring us to implement some functions. We will implement those. And this needs to be a constructor invocation, which means we need to add parentheses at the end. And now if our adapter wants to assume the type of a RecyclerView adapter, there are a few methods that it has to implement. We're going to implement them. You can either hover over the name of that adapter and click on what did it do? Did it make it abstract? It shouldn't have made it abstract. Implement members. And here you have the functions that you have to implement. They are selected by default. Click on OK. You can implement them like that. Or you can click on Control-I, select all of those functions, and click on OK. Both achieve the same result. And now you have three functions that we need to implement so that our adapter can function properly. We're going to start with the most basic function, and that's our getItemCount. This function is used to tell the adapter basically how many items need to be populated. Okay, and we have a parameter for our items. We just want to get the count of those items, and we can do that inside our getItemCount function with return items dot size. Okay, That's just all you need to do with respect to this function, and now our adapter knows that it needs to make way for a number of items equal to this number of items, basically. Okay, that's the basic setup. And now we're going to move on to onCreateViewHolder. Because we already have an inner class data item view holder, but we need to know how to create that inner class from our adapter. Okay, and that inner class expects a binding as a parameter. So we need to first create that binding before creating that class. We can do that with val, let's call it layout item binding. Let's hope I get this from the first attempt, equals to layout item binding dot inflate. And here we need to pass a few parameters in order to work with this binding. Okay. First, it expects a layout inflator. We can create that like layout inflator dot from. Our from needs a context, and we already have a view group right there. So we can use the context of that view group. So inside your from, write parent.context. Okay, that's the first parameter. The second parameter will be our view group, which is the parent itself. So pass parent. And our third parameter will be attached to parent. Just leave that at false. Okay. And now you have a view binding that you can work with, which allows you to create a data item view holder, okay, which is the return type by default of this function which is required to create a RecyclerView adapter. Okay, I'm trying to link up all of these concepts because you may find that this is a lot in order to just display a simple list of data. Okay, but believe me, after practice, it will become very simple to implement and very repetitive as well. Okay, so after creating that binding, we need to create that data item view holder. So here we can write return data item view holder, which expects a binding, which we now have with our layout item binding. Okay, that's how we created a view holder, but we still didn't provide a way for our view holder to know that this title for our data class should go for this TV title text view. And we can do that inside our onBindViewHolder. Okay, so in this onBindViewHolder, we want to work with our items. But this will only work with one item at a time. So we need to get a reference to the current item in the recycler view by the time that it is being inflated. And you can do that with val item equals to items at which index? At this index, basically, which is provided inside the onBindViewHolder. So pass that position, just like that. And now we have a single item, which is a data item. Okay, and we have a reference to our text view, which we will now work with. Okay, holder dot, do we have access to the binding? No, we don't, because yes, we created it directly like that. If we have it as a val, I think we can now work with it. Yes, it is now accessible. So we can write holder.binding dot TV title. We now have access to TV title, which is the text view of our layout item, the single item inside our list of items. So go back to your adapter, and this TV title will have a text equal to item.title. Okay, and now the adapter is finally set up. Okay, that's great news. I think everything should be functioning well. Go back to your main activity. And here, let's create a reference for that adapter. You can create it with private late init var adapter of type DataItemAdapter. Below your set content view, write adapter equals to DataItemAdapter, which will expect a list of data items. Let's create those. Data items equals to list of. No need to provide a type because we will provide it right here. A list of first item. Let's have 5. I don't want to waste a lot of time with these. You can create 500 if you want, but don't create 500, just do something more efficient with your time. And this will be our data item adapter. We now have a reference to it. And now we want to set that adapter to our recycler view. Let's give it an ID. RV items. Go back to your main activity and write binding.rvItems.apply so that we can directly provide the adapter. Let's change the name of that adapter. And now I will show you why. Data item adapter here as well, because our RV items will have a property called adapter, which should have the value of your data item adapter. So we want to avoid using the same name for both of these. And after that, you still need just one more property, and that's the layout manager. Layout manager equals to linear layout manager. We want to have a vertical list. Inside that, what does it expect? It expects a context, which can be our this at main activity, and an orientation, whether to be a vertical list or a horizontal list. We're going to have a vertical list with linear layout manager dot vertical, comma, false for reverse layout. We don't want to reverse our layout. We just want it to be as it is. Go ahead and run your application. That setup should now be complete. Check out your emulator, and there you have a recycler view with 5 items coming from this list. Okay, and a recycler view is a very efficient UI component because, as its name suggests, it basically recycles the views which are not visible to the user. Okay, which is very performance efficient and very suitable for large amounts of data. Okay, here we have 5 data, but in reality you may have over 100 or 1000 items which you have to display inside your recycler view. Okay, with very large amount of data, you will explore later a concept called paging, which we will get to in another video. But other than that, the recycler view itself is very efficient in loading data. Okay, and that's basically the whole setup that you need to know. And now we just need to modernize our approach. And I want to show you how to attach an onClick listener as well to each item inside your recycler view. Okay, so in order to attach an onClick listener for your list items, you have several ways of approaching this. I'm going to show you first the old school way of doing this, which is by using an interface, and after that I'm going to show you how to use a lambda. Okay, so here inside your data item adapter class, go down and create an interface. Call it data item adapter actions if you want. It will have a function called onItemClicked. Our onItemClicked should tell our main activity that we clicked on a data item, so it should expect a data item as a parameter. Our adapter itself will now expect an interface to be passed from our main activity so that it can work with this function, and I'm going to show you how. So here, as a second parameter, we can write val, what did we call it, data item adapter actions, adapter actions, which will have this type for our interface, and we need to attach the onClick listener to our item. Our item is our TV title, and we will attach an onClick listener to that with holder.binding.tvTitle set onClick listener, and it will invoke this method basically from our interface. So reference that interface from the parameter of your adapter right there, and call the onItemClicked. It needs to have a data item which we have access to with our item right there, because this is the current item in our list at a certain position. So just pass item right there. And inside our main activity, our adapter now expects another parameter for our interface, basically. We can create that with using object and implementing that interface like that, which will now expect us to implement the method of that interface. So go to your object and click on implement members. You will see your onItemClicked function right there. Click on OK, and this will be the onClick action, which will happen when you click on an item in your adapter. So let's just display a simple toast. We don't want to overcomplicate it. It will expect a context and it will expect a text. The text will be basically the data item that we have at this position dot title. Control-Alt-L to organize your code. And after that, rerun your application. And click on any item in your list. Let's click on fourth item. And here you can see a toast with a message fourth item. Second item, second item. We now effectively implemented an onClick listener for the items of our list in case we need to make a UI, for example, which after clicking on a certain item reveals the details of that item. Okay, which is a common approach in many of the applications today. And that's if you want the traditional approach by using an interface. I'm now going to show you how to use a Lambda for this purpose. Lambdas are very efficient in Kotlin, and we're going to make use of a Lambda right here to implement an onClick listener for our list items. Okay. So let's create a Lambda as a parameter for our adapter. We can do it like val item clicked Lambda, for example. This will be of type, we will use a parentheses here and a data item inside those parentheses. You will see why in a little while. And a unit, basically, to be provided from our main activity. Okay. And we will invoke this Lambda in the onClick listener of our TV title. So let's modify that to be invoked right there. You can invoke it like this if you want. And I think you can invoke it like this as well. The choice is yours regarding that. Let's stick to this approach for now. And our MainActivity now expects a lambda for that adapter. Let's provide one. Let's separate those with commas, and let's create a lambda just like that, which will have access to our data item. Okay. This is basically why I had that lambda return a data item, because I want a reference to that data item inside my main activity so that I can work with it. Okay. And I am gaining access to that data item inside this basically. Okay. So let's comment out the interface part. We don't need that now. Let's comment this out as well. Okay, and let's just maintain our toast right here. And yes, since this adapter now only has a single lambda to work with, you will notice that it will tell you to move that lambda out of the parentheses. So you can now have your adapter like that. Okay. This of course looks a lot neater than what it used to look like. But this will only work if you have one single lambda for your class. Okay. And that was our case. We just had this one lambda right there. So let's rerun our application. There you have it, and click on an item, and that's our third item. Okay, it works just like the interface, but it's the modern approach to implementing on-click listeners and any type of listeners for that matter in Android. Okay. Now, what if we wanted to update the items of our list based on a certain event, for example? If you notice, our adapter takes these items as a parameter, which means when we create our adapter right here, it will get created with these items. But what if I'm trying to get these items from my backend server, and my backend server returns some new items? I want those items to be displayed in that list as well. I can't just rely on the constructor of my adapter to populate those items. I need to have a function to do that. And that function should be accessible from basically anywhere inside my activity. Okay? And let's simulate a condition like that, because you will work with something like this very often in Android. So let's create a button. Let's not create it in the XML. Let's create it here. Change the height of your recycler view, just so we can see this button. Okay, it's constrained horizontally because of our auto connection right there. Let's give it a bottom constraint. Give it a bottom margin as well. And constrain this recycler view to that button. So let's give it a constraint like that, and let's give it a height of 0 dp. It will of course need to be stretched from the top as well, and now you have a recycler view that occupies this much space. Okay. Let's give it a bottom margin as well. We don't want it to stick to the button, and that's good. Okay. And that button, let's update the text to be update list. Okay. It will be our btn underscore update underscore list button with that ID. Don't forget to refactor it right here. And that seems to be set up right now. We're now going to implement the functionality of updating the items of our adapter. Okay. So let's create a function to update the items of our adapter. Go to the bottom right there and create a function, call it update items if you want. It will expect a new items list, basically, of type list of data items. Okay. And to do this update operation, we're going to use something called DiffUtil, and you will see how it works shortly. So let's create a result equals to DiffUtil.calculateDiff, and our calculateDiff will expect a DiffUtil callback. Let's create that. Like this. This should be a constructor, and this should implement these numbers. So why are we using a DiffUtil? And what is a DiffUtil, basically? If you hover over the DiffUtil class, it's pretty self-explanatory. A DiffUtil is a utility class that calculates the difference between two lists and outputs a list of update operations that converts the first list into the second one. And that's exactly what we need, because in our case, we have an old list, and after clicking on the button, we need to get the new list. Okay, so this DiffUtil calculates the difference between both lists and updates the required list accordingly. Okay, it's very efficient. So if, for example, I have an initial list of these 5 items, and the new list has basically the same items except for one extra item, it calculates that item very efficiently. Okay, and you won't see a bad animation while that happens because it's trying to load the data in a neat way, okay, or in an efficient way. And to do that, we need to basically override a few methods, like what we did with our RecyclerView adapter. So let's start with get old list size. This is straightforward. Our old list is items. Its size is items.size. New list size will be our new list right there. Return new items list dot size. Okay, which means we still have our items the same and our contents the same. With respect to our items the same, it needs to know based on what two items in our list are considered the same, basically. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward because our items only have a title. So we just need to compare the title of our old item to the title of our new item. Okay, and here you can return items at old item position dot title equals to items at this new items position dot title. Okay, and our contents the same is very similar to that one. It compares the data class itself. Okay, so without the title, this will be the comparison. Okay, and after that, what we can do, we can set items equals to new items list, and this will be an error because our items is a val, it needs to be a var, and after that we need to work with that result. So we write result.dispatch updates to this, basically, our adapter itself. That was a lot of content, but don't worry, we will test it out now so that you can see how it works. So we have a button called btn update list. Let's attach an onClick listener to that button. like this, and let's call DataItemAdapter dot update items. We need a new items list. Let's copy that one or create a new one below it. I don't like creating items inside OnClick listeners. They will get created each time you click on the button. So here, write new data items, and let's add a sixth item. And let's pass that to update items, which expects a list of data items. If we now run our application, let's check it out. Okay, that's our application, that's our button, and that's a crash. That should be straightforward to solve. Let's check. On this button, I'm calling update items. We just implemented that. Okay, these look good to go. Okay. I apologize about that. This needs to take the title of the new items list, and this needs to compare the old items list with the new items list. Okay. Modify that. Run the application again. Now you can be cautious about these functions. Okay, these are our items. Click on Update List, and that's our new item. If you noticed, it got loaded very neatly into the application. We didn't see a weird flash or some bad behavior in this page, which is why this is the efficient way of loading items and updating items for your RecyclerView. Okay? And now I'm going to show you how to create a list adapter, which is the modern way that we're using, if you want, regarding RecyclerViews. Okay, and it simplifies the process of updating items, and it makes it even more efficient. Okay, and it's very similar to the normal RecyclerView adapter. Let's see how it compares. So select that and write list adapter. List adapter expects our data class, so let's pass data item right there, and this will remain the same. I think it will expect here a DiffUtil item callback. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's expecting the callback. Let's create that callback with a class as well. So let's create another inner class for that, and let's name it data item DiffUtil callback. Like that, it will extend DiffUtil.item callback of type data item. Okay, constructor invocation. And now to implement the methods, you will see we only have these two methods as compared to all of this, basically. And we can actually use what we did here with respect to the title. So let's return old item dot title equals to new item dot title, and with respect to our contents the same, return old item equals to new item. As you can see, it's a lot more simpler than doing this, basically. I have to show you the hard way first so that you can appreciate the easier way, okay? And here, let's see what it expects. Okay, it expects our callback right there, and our callback can only be called from a receiver. Let's remove the inner class, and there you have it. This shouldn't be an inner class, basically. And that's about it. I think this is good to go. I don't think it needs a getItemCount anymore. That's right. And we can actually comment this out and just write update or submit list with our new items list. Okay, it's that easy. Submit list behind the scenes updates your old list in the background. Okay, and it's very efficient while doing so. I've used the word efficient like 10 times in this video so far, but it is very efficient. And that's about it. So let's check our main activity. Did anything change? Nothing changed. Let's add another item just so we can make sure that this is our change. Rerun that application, open your emulator, and initially we won't have any items. If I click on update list, I will get a crash. Let's check out why. Our item adapter, yes, our list adapter doesn't expect the items as a parameter, so we need to delete that. And inside onBindViewHolder, we no longer reference them like that. Now we use getItem at position. Okay, getItem is a method for list adapter, and now we don't need data items anymore. Let's populate some items after loading the application, like this. Dot update items with our data items. Rerun the application. There we have our initial list of items. If I click on update list, I will get the new items as well. Okay, this was a very comprehensive video. I showed you the old way of dealing with recycler views and the new way as well, with interfaces and with lambdas. Okay, I hope this was informative and relatable to you. If it was, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for future content, and I'll see you in the next video.